This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Heather Sells. Donald Trump's second impeachment trial is underway as Democrats hope to prove that he is solely responsible for the siege of the nation's capital. It started at 1 p.m. Eastern this afternoon, and CBN's White House correspondent Ben Kennedy joins us with the latest. Ben.
Well, Heather, both sides will get 2 hours to argue their case, 4 hours total, and then lawmakers will vote if the impeachment is in fact constitutional. So far, 5 GOP senators have indicated they plan to move forward. So this impeachment trial in the Senate will officially begin Wednesday morning. Over the next few days, the House impeachment managers plan to show videos reminding the Senate jury of what happened on January 6th and make their case that Donald Trump is singularly responsible for the siege on the Capitol. But Trump's lawyers say his use of the word fight almost 24 times in his January 6th speech is a common political term meant to be taken figuratively. They'll also argue the FBI knew there was a threat to the Capitol days before the rally and that the rioters acted on their own accord.
Our case is based on cold, hard facts. It's all about the facts. Now, President Trump has sent his lawyers here today to try to stop the Senate from hearing the facts of this case. They want to call the trial over before any evidence is even introduced. Their argument is that if you commit an impeachable offense in your last few weeks in office, you do it with constitutional impunity. You get away with it.
Now, it would take 17 Republican senators to break party ranks for a conviction. Opening arguments does begin tomorrow. Both sides will then get 16 hours over 2 days period to present their case. Heather?
All right, Ben Kennedy, CBN News White House correspondent. Thanks for that report. And Hans von Spakovsky with the Heritage Foundation is here with more on the trial now. Hans, thanks so much for joining us.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So many legal experts and Republicans have argued that this trial is unconstitutional. Given, however, that it is going forward, do you think that it might shed light on the Capitol riots and what influenced and motivated the mob?
Actually, I don't think so, because I don't think the Democrats are interested in that. I mean, I almost laughed when I heard them say that this case is based on the cold, hard facts, when they've already played a video of a video they put together of what the president said, and they very deliberately and intentionally edited out his saying that protests should be peaceful. So what does that tell you about what's happening in the Senate?
Wow. Okay. Well, at this point, what is your hope for the outcome of this trial? What's the best case scenario in your view?
Oh, I think the best case scenario is that the president is not convicted. Now, what ought to happen is it should not go forward, because it is a violation of the Constitution to hold an impeachment trial of a private citizen. If the law was broken by a former federal official, such as a president, he can be investigated and prosecuted by federal officials, but you cannot impeach a private citizen, someone who is no longer a federal official.
There is one precedent that I understand for an impeachment trial for someone who's out of office, but do you think that this second trial, if you will set a precedent and encourage impeachment trials for other office holders even after they have left office?
Yeah, that's what it unfortunately will do. The one precedent is from 1876. Even that was extremely controversial at the time, with folks arguing that you cannot impeach a former office holder. And this sets the precedent of, in a future Congress, if Republicans, for example, take over, they might want to impeach and bar from future office other former Democratic federal officials.
Well, I want to ask you, too, as you know, so many professions right now are becoming politicized, and there is concern that those who've served as lawyers for President Trump are being targeted by the legal profession. What might this mean for lawyers and those they defend going forward if their cause is politically unpopular?
Yeah, this is a really dangerous development. The Attorney General and Governor of Michigan are saying that they're going to try to have the lawyers who represented the Trump campaign in court disbarred. That kind of blacklisting, that kind of retribution and reprisals against lawyers simply for representing their clients is something that endangers what this country is based on, which is the rule of law and the ability of people to assert their rights under the Bill of Rights and other federal statutes in court. And that's an extremely dangerous development.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Not only a chilling effect on lawyers, if you will, but just American citizens who have an unpopular case and need legal representation.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And lawyers are tasked professionally under codes of conduct to do the best they can for their clients, whether or not those clients are unpopular or not liked by government officials. And yet we now have McCarthyite tactics, blacklisting, and other terrible things like that being urged by state officials like the governor of Michigan and, frankly, others in Washington and other places inside the nation's capital.
All right, something absolutely to watch. Hans von Spakovsky with the Heritage Foundation, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And you can watch more CBN News coverage of President Trump's impeachment trial on Faith Nation from our Washington bureau. You can also watch the hearing live on the CBN News YouTube channel. Well, President Joe Biden's plan to raise the minimum wage to $15 over the next 3 years is getting a close look from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, or CBO. The CBO report predicts it would actually cost America 1.4 million jobs, drive up the cost of goods and services, and increase federal spending. But on the positive side, it will pull 900,000 people out of poverty. Biden's plan is sponsored by Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, who's chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. It's in Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief package. However, the president himself doubts it will make it as part of the final bill. Well, as the nation struggles with COVID vaccine distribution, the state of West Virginia has found amazing success. Governor Jim Justice says it is thanks to common sense and prayer. CBN anchor Wendy Griffith spoke with the governor to find out how West Virginia's plan has played out.
West Virginia is often last when it comes to national trends, but not this time. The Mountain State is credited with leading the country when it comes to the COVID vaccine rollout, and no one could be happier than West Virginia Governor Jim Justice.
Well, it does make me feel good. I mean, there's no question about this.
Governor Justice says a big factor in their success, not going with a federal plan to send the vaccine to big pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens. Instead, they stayed local, partnering with mom-and-pop pharmacies.
We recruited our pharmacies, our local health clinics. We absolutely put our National Guard right to work and everything. We took this to the people because the people are used to going to certain places and everything. And with all that, we started putting shots in people's arms, and that's why we've led the way.
Pharmacist Heidi Romero says West Virginia was ready.
They developed a team of people to begin working on the distribution process before the vaccines were even approved. And they enlisted every willing pharmacy, and it's just been a very cooperative effort between the state level, the pharmacies, the health departments. Everybody has put forth their best effort to make sure that the vaccines have rolled out as quickly as possible.
Now, you are a third-generation pharmacist in Canova, West Virginia. You work alongside your father. How does it feel to be the heroes right now in this pandemic?
It's honestly very humbling to be part of this process. We're just glad to be able to help in any way that we can. And the connection that we all have to our communities, it's made a big difference with feeling like you're finally able to do something to help the people that you know and care about.
In a different ranking, you may recall, West Virginia became the very last state to report a positive COVID case last March. Now it's hailed as a model when it comes to getting residents vaccinated, next to only North Dakota. The two states in a virtual tie, with both administering 81% of available vaccines. Governor Justice says it's not rocket science.
It's just simply good, sound thinking, and then having the guts to move and to get it done.
Something else may have helped pave the way for their success. They prayed. The governor proclaimed March 25th of last year a statewide day of prayer.
But Father, I pray for all of us in our great state that you will intervene now and hear our words, as I know you will, and some way, somehow intervene to stop this terrible virus.
The governor says although they've seen their share of tragedy and loss of life, he knows God has been with them through it all. Wendy Griffith, CBN News.
In other COVID news, more California churches are opening their doors after a new Supreme Court ruling that supports them. Last week, the High Court lifted a state ban on indoor services during the pandemic. It's considered the most significant legal victory against California's COVID-19 health orders. But while the High Court said that California can't ban indoor services, it did approve limiting attendance and restricting churchgoers from singing inside. The state revised its church restrictions following the court ruling. Pasadena-based Harvest Rock Church had challenged the state's ban in court. And closer to home, a hacker nearly succeeded in poisoning the water supply of the town of Oldsmar, Florida, near Tampa. The suspect increased levels of the chemical compound sodium hydroxide 100 times more than normal. It is a primary ingredient in drain cleaners, and it's used to eliminate metal from drinking water. A plant supervisor saw what was happening and stopped it before it harmed the water and potentially 15,000 people in Oldsmar. Well, coming up, a defiant and determined Iran when it comes to nuclear weapons and how President Biden's policy could shape what happens next.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Iran says it will aggressively push for a nuclear weapon if sanctions on its country are not lifted. The rare warning comes from Iran's intelligence minister, who insists his country's nuclear ambitions have always been for peaceful purposes. But that could now change if crippling international sanctions remain in place.
The fatwa by the Supreme Leader explicitly stated that the manufacturing of nuclear weapons is forbidden by the Sharia, and the Islamic Republic won't go after them and considers seeking them as haram. However, if a cat is cornered, it may show a kind of behavior that a free cat would not. If Iran is pushed in that direction, then it wouldn't be Iran's fault, but those who pushed it.
The warning comes days after President Biden said the U.S. will not lift sanctions against Iran unless the country stops enriching uranium. Well, CBN's senior international correspondent George Thomas joins us now for more on this story. George, this standoff is creating a contest of wills between the two nations. Who do you expect will blink first?
Well, my assessment is that the regime in Tehran is going to blink. Why? Because they are in a weaker position. 4 years of crippling sanctions, and so they want to project a sense of strength in this negotiations. And Israeli intelligence just this week presented a document to reporters in Tel Aviv, and their assessment is that that Iran could potentially go after attack Western targets, specifically maybe even launch an attack in Yemen against Saudi Arabia. Clearly, they are in the weaker position, and they're trying to use any kind of opportunity as a bargaining chip to try and force the Biden administration to come back to the table.
Right, and I think really the whole world is waiting, if you will, to see how the Biden administration is really going to craft its policy. Another development, we have 119 House Republicans just sent President Biden a letter regarding Iran. They're very concerned about the possibility of returning to the Iran nuclear deal. What are their concerns?
Yeah, I mean, the concern is, I have right here the actual letter that was sent by the 119 House of Representatives, and their assessment and their argument to the Biden administration is that the current negotiation done by the Obama administration back in 2015, as it stands, is not viable. They argue that it is exactly this deal that will allow the Iranians the pathway to achieve nuclear capability, and in essence will allow them to continue gaining massive sums of money and continue their pursuit of nuclear weapons ambitions. So they're clearly saying that the 2015 agreement does not work, and stricter sanctions, more sanctions need to be applied on the regime.
So much difference of opinion here is how to contain Iran. The country, of course, has been the main driver of instability in the Middle East for years now. We've watched with its nuclear activities, its support for international terrorism. Do you see this changing? What do you see as the outlook with the Biden administration?
No, absolutely. The calculus in Tehran is not going to change. In fact, our U.S. commander for Central Command, General Kenneth McKenzie, said to the point that Iran continues to be a destabilizing force in the region. Its tentacles spread not just to the immediate region, but we're talking about Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Lebanon. In all of these places, Iran wants to continue to destabilize the region, and they are the main player. They are the main instigator, so to speak. And so the regime in Iran knows that and is waiting to see what kind of approach this new administration is going to take with them.
All right. And George, just about 30 seconds left, sure. But I want to ask you about Iran. Russia and China are set to hold joint naval exercises this month. What does that mean for the U.S.?
Yeah, this is the second such naval exercise taking place between these three countries. The last one happened in 2019. Again, it presents all the more challenges to the Biden administration in terms of how to deal with Iran. You know, again, China and Russia both are urging the Biden administration to come back to the table to embrace the 2015 agreement. So again, difficult negotiations ahead for sure.
All right, George, thanks for your insights.
You're welcome.
And still ahead, one woman's story of pain and tragedy after her husband's death gained national attention, and how she believes God can use her story to help others.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Tamika Miller says she never imagined she'd be a widow so young. Her husband, Rayshard Brooks, was shot and killed by an Atlanta police officer last June. Miller says her faith alone has carried her through the incredible loss. CBN's Eric Phillips talked with her about how she believes God will bring good out of it.
This is where Rayshard Brooks was shot back in June. At the time, there was a Wendy's restaurant here. As you can see, it's now an empty lot. The building may be gone, but the wounds are still fresh, especially for his wife.
I never thought that I would be a widow this young. It's been really hard. Up and down, I feel like my life has been a roller coaster, pretty much, but I keep the faith.
Tamika Miller says only faith has been able to sustain her these last several months.
It's hard. It's so hard not to be angry. It's so hard not to feel vengeance.
Now, there are just reminders of what continues to haunt Miller. It happened June 12th after police were called to this Wendy's in Southwest Atlanta because 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks had fallen asleep in his car while in the drive-thru line. Video shows that after some calm conversation, officers gave Brooks a breathalyzer, determined he was intoxicated, and tried to cuff him. That's when the situation spun out of control. During a scuffle with officers, Brooks grabbed one of the officers' taser. He ran and looked back, pointing the taser as if he was going to shoot it. That's when Officer Garrett Rolfe fired 3 shots, 2 of them striking Brooks. He died at the hospital following surgery.
When they knocked on my door, they were telling me to identify my husband and that he had been murdered.
When she learned the details that her husband had grabbed an officer's taser, she was baffled.
What was it that made him feel in danger to grab it? In order for him to go to that extent, he felt in danger. This is right after George Floyd, and we watched this together. This is right after Breonna Taylor. Me and my husband, we watched those things. We kept tabs on stuff like this.
Adding to the tragedy, it happened the same week of their 8-year-old daughter's birthday.
She understood very well that her daddy wasn't going to make it to take her skating, and her daddy wasn't going to come back. There were so many promises that was made that wasn't kept because they took my husband.
Officer Rolfe was fired from the Atlanta PD and charged with murder. The other officer, Devin Brosnan, was charged with aggravated assault. Miller hasn't watched any of the body cam video from that night yet. She's still building up the courage. In the meantime, she doesn't want her husband's death to be in vain. It's why she took part in the March on Washington anniversary back in August with many others who've experienced similar pain.
I want to see change. Change in policing. Change in our black men being scared of officers when they see them. Because most of them are scared. You hear sirens, I see them run. And they don't even know why they're running. They're just scared.
Atlanta pastor Jamal Bryant was there too.
The frustration of this generation is that we've not seen justice. The killer of Trayvon Martin is free. Freddie Gray, Sandra Bland, all the way down, nobody has gone to jail. We're not declaring war on the police. We want the police to be accountable. We want somebody to be held responsible.
Miller says God is even using her tragic circumstance for good.
He's using me as a testimony. to help someone else and let them know if I got through it, you can do the same. So I want people to remember to keep having faith in God and stay focused. Don't let people change you and make you bitter because of a tragedy. Don't become cold because of the hate that's going on right now.
Tamika tells me if she has her way, this space will soon be used to benefit the community. Either way, she plans to follow God's leading and use her newfound voice for good. Eric Phillips, CBN News, Atlanta.
Coming up, the first television series about the life of Christ will now appear on the largest Christian television network.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
Three, two, one. I'm Ephraim Graham. Welcome to Studio 5.
Get on it.
All that's new and now in the world of uplifting entertainment with celebrity interviews.
There's a higher contribution I will make.
Musical performances.
I'll give you my best praise.
Plus movie and TV news.
See it and be uplifted.
On Studio 5. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern at cbn.com/Studio 5.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
From smartphone app to the television screen, The Chosen is broadening its reach by joining the Trinity Broadcasting Network. The 8-episode season made its debut on February 8th and will continue every Monday night for 8 weeks. The award-winning series follows the life of Christ and his ministry through New Testament stories. The second season of The Chosen is set to premiere by Easter of this year. The series creators were able to produce it due to public support through one of the largest crowdfunding efforts ever. And that is it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can watch more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. And also, please tell us what you think about the stories that you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or just talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We hope that you will join us next time. Have a great day.